Hi, I'm Jeanette Keynes. I'm the author of Soldering Demystified from Jewelry Arts Inc. in New York City, and I'm here to share a few tips and tricks that are going to help you in your soldering. To get my bezel seams together, I like to use chain nose pliers. It doesn't leave as many marks on your bezel, and I just feel like I can see what I'm doing a lot better. I'm just going to pull this around, pull the other side as well. Now I usually go past the seam a couple times just to create a little bit of tension. I line them up and give it a nice little squeeze and press down. Because what I'm hoping for is kind of a nice little peanut shape like that. If you leave your seam, high up in the air, it's much more difficult to control the heat and get a nice fuse. So you always want to squeeze it down like this so that the seam is at least either flat or dipped in a little bit and not convex. Once I've butted my bezel together, I like to hold it up to the light source and make sure I don't see a lot of light shining through. Sometimes when you're working in front of you on the bench, everything looks great, but when you hold it up to the light is when you're really going to see if everything is nice and tight together. If I really don't see much light and everything looks good, I can go ahead and fuse. If I do see much light, I can use my chain nose pliers, I can readjust a little bit, and if I really have an uneven seam, I'll go back and cut, but I won't file. It's counterproductive. Now, when I'm fusing a 22 karat bezel, I'm using a 0 flame, and it's turned up high like it would be when you were soldering. I'm going to go around and I'm going to heat the whole piece, and I'm going to build up the heat. What I'm looking for is the seam should glow brighter than everything else. That's my indicator to tell me that I can pull back, use the feather tip, which is just the end of the flame, and I can tickle it across, and that's going to make my metal flow together. You can see right now the seam is not really brighter than anything else, so I'm not ready yet. So I continue to heat. See that bright orangey little line you get there? Now I'm going to go in with my feather tip, which is just the end of the flame. And this is what I mean by tickling. You don't really want to hold it on there when it's molten for about a count of 3. Any longer than that count of 3, you're going to start to make a granule, which maybe a few of you have done before. And if you're not intending a granule, you won't be very pleased. I usually fuse it a few times to make sure it's all filled in and nice like that. You see how now it's not brighter than anything else? It's pretty much the same color. That means it's all done. So my 22 karat bezel, it looks fused to me, but I like to test it, of course, to make sure. I'm going to slide it down on my mandrel a little bit. I'm not really worried about making my perfect shape yet, but then I'm going to slide it off and I'm going to squeeze it with my fingers a little bit. And that's going to tell me whether my seam is done. See, if I squeeze and I just start to get an irregular curve like this, that means my seam is done. If right where the seam is, I get a sharp peak like an A, all that means is I have to squish it back down a little bit with my pliers and do a little bit more fusing. So I've rolled my bezel nice and round. It's time to clean up my seam. I'm going to use a number 2 cut Val Titan file. I'm obsessed with these files. They give you this beautiful smooth cut. They just go like butter. I never use anything else. So when you're filing a seam, what you want to do is let the file glide along the work. You want to let the tool do the work for you. If your hand is all clenched up or your forearm's all clenched up, you need to relax. You'll actually get a faster result this way, and your hand will feel a whole lot better. So you can see my line is gone, but I'm still going to need to blend all that together. I like to use the screen micron paper. It works fantastic. It's my favorite. I use it for everything pretty much. I use a really silly method that I call the board secretary to remind everybody that light and fast actually gives you the best results. I find often students tend to cut a small piece of sandpaper and they're using really like a lot of elbow grease to try to sand. Actually, the fastest and easiest way is to leave your sandpaper whole. You're just going to fold it up like this so that you hold it very lightly. And then go back and forth. Pretend you're in a 40s movie. You're cracking your gum, you're gossiping with your friends, and you're buffing your nails. Now, if you take a look at that, it gives you a totally consistent finish very quickly, faster than any other method I've ever tried. So it's a very silly name, the board secretary, but if it helps you to remember it, then it's worthwhile being a little silly.